Hey guys, this is Don from Edge of the North Adventures, and today we are going to review the Big Sky International Wisp, which is a one-person bivy. This is somewhere between a bivy sack and a one-person tent, and it's a great sweet spot between weight and roominess. So this shelter is a great combination of a very lightweight bivy sack and a one-person tent, and it achieves this through a really lightweight material. It doesn't have any poles of its own. It uses a hiking stick, and its size, just being a one-person very small tent, means not a ton of fabric on top of it. So a couple of the interesting features just from the outside is you've got this ventilation port here, and this one is not meshed off. It goes right into the vestibule area, which doesn't need, bug repellents or anything because it's open. And you have another one on the other side here, and these have got like a small, almost a little pole in here. You can kind of see it right there, and that'll hold it open when it's nice out, and you can kind of close it off when it's not so nice out. So we are going to be stress testing this tent, so we are actually closing this off because we expect some bad storms to be coming in here, and if we were actually out in this thing, we would totally be closing that particular spot off because that's the way the wind is going to be coming from. There's one over on the other side here as well, and we're going to leave that one open because, well, we want the ventilation as best we can get. The other ventilation is here at the base. This is where your feet would go, and there is a small pole in here, and that gives you the height to kind of keep the tent off of your feet, off of the footbox area of the sleeping bag. And there's no real way to open that up, but you'll see in a minute you don't really need to. But there is a mesh underneath there, a little vent area. So the idea behind the airflow on this thing is cooler air near the ground is going to enter through the footbox area there. As it warms up being inside the tent, it's going to go up to the top area there and get vented out. And like everything, there's no air conditioning in the outdoors. This is, at best, it's not going to keep you cool, but it's, not going to become overly stifling in there either. So while this tent is lightweight, really lightweight material, doesn't require poles, it does require a decent bit of stakes to, keep it on the ground. It's not freestanding by any stretch of the imaginations. So at the footbox, there's 3 stakes to secure it. When we go around here, this vestibule opening requires a stake. That's 4. The head area here is 5 and 6. And then the area right here, just to give yourself a little bit of room, that's 7. And then, as you can see, there's 2 guidelines pulling out here a little bit to give you a little bit more interior volume. And that's 8 and 9. So this thing does take 9 stakes to set it up. And it's a little bit intensive on stakes, but if you get aluminum stakes, or if you want to spend the money on titanium stakes, you can do that, and it'll be obviously a little bit more money for that, but it's whatever you decide in your weight savings. If you look up here, there is a loop for a rope. If you don't have a hiking stick or have a convenient tree or something nearby, you can tie that up high and kind of hold the tent up that way. I always hike with walking sticks, so I think the advantage there is you're double dutying that walking stick on this piece of equipment as well. So this tent does have a vestibule here. These flaps open up here. There's 2 little Velcro straps. This guy opens all the way up. Get up underneath there, and you can kind of see the interior of this tent. I'm gonna zip this guy up, and it's reasonably spacious for a one-person tent. It's it's not you know, it's not roomy, but at the same time, it's not a bivy sack as well. So there's a little loop here. I don't know if you saw it, but it's right there. And there's a little hook right here. So we hook these guys up and we can keep it open if we want to. And if it's not going to rain, or, you know, you just need the extra ventilation, you can sleep in this way at night. So this is the interior, and you see the mesh wall here. So there's a ton of breathability if it's reasonably nice outside and you want to sleep this way. You're not expecting any rain or anything like that. This is a great way to sleep. It's very, very breezy. And you can see there's a decent amount of volume in there for one person. Kind of goes down to the footbox area down there and then back up this way. I'm 6'2". I can sleep in this thing end to end without touching the sidewalls or the end walls. I can sit up in it. It's a little bit scrunched, but I can sit up in it. And the reason it's a little bit scrunched is the high point where the pole, the hiking stick is actually just outside of the living area here. And so this area that is basically right in here, you kind of see the shadow there, that kind of rubs up against my head a little bit when I get up and I want to sit up or not. But, you know, for the most part, it's fine. And I'm only sitting up really, you know, in the morning or going to bed when I'm just kind of getting everything situated. So as far as interior features go, it's really just limited to this pocket here, this mesh pocket on the side. And I kind of wish they just didn't even bother, but, you know, if you have like a headlamp or something like that, it would go in there. I wouldn't put anything very heavy in there, or, you know, anything that's going to possibly risk ripping the fabric or anything like that. That's really it as far as main features go. Entrance. Entrance. Take two. The entry to the tent is this kind of half moon doorway. It is plenty spacious to get in. It ends right at the pole, so you never kind of really feel that the pole is in the way. I used to get in through there, kind of crawl up and then stretch out, and it works just fine. It's double zipper, so you can reach from either side here. I kind of like keeping everything in the middle and exercising both zippers at the same time. You can hold the door open with this loop there. I don't see any reason to do that in Michigan because, well, there's bugs. And, you know, we tend to keep everything buttoned up when we're not using it. So as far as setup goes, the only thing you really need is to be in a place where you can hammer in the, you know, the tent stakes that are needed for this. And you have to have a hiking pole or other pole of some type that's 120 centimeters tall. You can get away with a little bit taller, but 120 is what the manufacturer suggests. That does hold it pretty darn tight. Obviously put the pointy end at the bottom and not up in your tent area there, and it holds it just fine. So we're going to be testing this guy out, and we have some very strong thunderstorms, possibility of hail, and even possibility of a tornado. And I'm going to set this guy up as if we just got word that there's a storm coming in. We're out on the trail, and we've got to set up relatively quickly to be able to weather out this storm. So we are expecting 60 mile an hour wind gusts with roughly 20 mile an hour average wind and a lot of rain. So we're going to leave this guy set up. A couple of the considerations here for this test is I'm not actually going to be in it because I'm not going to be outside in a tent in a tornado if I have a good basement to be in instead. So the tent floor is kind of free floating a little bit, which decreases the stability of the tent ever so slightly because it's not weighed down inside of it. So there's a better chance that wind is actually going to get underneath it, which would not happen if you were inside of it. The other consideration I'm doing is I am putting a camera in here to stabilize the camera. I got a 40-pound, like a tractor weight. That's going to go kind of in the footbox area. I'm going to have a GoPro inside, aiming up into the torso and head area there, so you can kind of see what the experience would be. We're going to have this guy totally bundled up as if a storm is coming in. I kind of alluded to that earlier. So we're going to have this rain fly down. Oh, come on. Winds are already picking up, huh? We're going to have this rain fly down all the way. We're going to have these flaps Velcroed in. We have this closed. This particular vent is closed because that's the way the wind is coming from. So in reality, this is kind of a worst case test because no one's in it. It's set up backwards from the way the manufacturer recommends going into a wind. They kind of recommend the footbox being into the wind. So this is set up opposite of that. And all in all, this is kind of a worst case test for a summer intent, like one person bivvy. So we'll see how it does. All right, folks, we are out here the next morning. It's still pretty windy, a little bit of rain, but not bad. Let's see how this guy did on the inside. The ground is soaked. I am gonna actually shake off a lot of this water so it doesn't get in the tent that we're trying to inspect for water ingress. It's not bad. I'm gonna roll it up. So now we're looking in the tent. I had a little bit of water pool up there, and that is honestly about it. There's a little bit on the corner back over there. Not bad. And this was an absolute downpour last night. We had 45-mile-an-hour wind gusts with an average of about 18 mile an hour in the storm. And this thing was getting blown around pretty good. I think the water on the ground right here is all just from the rain fly. But all in all, this did pretty good. I don't like the pooling up over there, but also, you know, this is set up on grass with nothing holding down the ground like me laying in it. So the bottom of the tent is actually kind of floating a little bit higher with no weight on it. You can kind of see right in there how this, you know, actually lifted up a little bit. If we were in there, you know, it would be a little bit weighted down just a little bit more. So all in all, I think that's a reasonable performance, considering the severity of the storm. The little vent there kind of shows no real water getting in other than a little bit of drizzle. You can kind of see up in there the overlap between the rain flap and the mesh. So that's got really good coverage there. So all in all, pretty happy with it. I think it would have served as a reasonable shelter for a night against a really bad storm. I think the wind really put it to the test, and it came out okay. I think if we were in there and we started getting that little bit of water leak, that'd be like, okay, I'm gonna put my towel over there and absorb a bunch of that. And I don't think it really would have affected me at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and just give this one a complete passing grade for what it went through.